Students, today's our topic number is P 8.4 related to inertia in rotation, that is moment of inertia and radius of gyration. These two topics we are going to learn. Previously, when you are beginning physics, I told you that a student weak in vectors and calculus, weak in physics. Like that, now onwards, a student who is weak in moment of inertia is weak in forthcoming all topics. Why? Because the basic role played by mass in translation will be played by moment of inertia in rotation. If you divide your mechanics into two parts at conceptual level, translation and rotation, translation you can deal without moment of inertia, but it is impossible to deal with rotation without this concept of moment of inertia. Lot of mathematics is involved, lot of calculations are involved related to this inertia of rotation, but still one empirical fact, experimental fact will help us driving through the mathematics of moment of inertia. And that experimental fact, anybody can do it. Take any object which is handy to you. Say I take this scale, so I hold it at the center and I rotate it, rotating it. Now I rotate it at this end, I hold it at this end and I rotate it. Feel the rotation in your fingers. Next, try to do the rotation here like this. Feel the amount of the turns what you are giving with your fingers. What you observe. So what is that? I will also show it in form of a picture. This is some dumbbell kind thing where these masses are slidable and you have a handle to hold it. Treating this as axis of rotation, rotate it like this. Just for a moment. Sorry for the disturbance. If you rotate like this, when masses are far away from axis, far away from axis, practically it is difficult to rotate and possess more inertia of rotation. How to know it? Take any object available to you in the vicinity and try it. And if at all the masses, the heavy masses are nearer to the axis of rotation, this is your axis of rotation and you are going to rotate about this axis like this. When you rotate like that, you will feel that when mass is nearer to the axis, practically it is easy to rotate and it possesses low inertia of rotation. Here it possesses high rotational inertia, there it possesses low rotational inertia. This is a practical point. So for that you can do anything. For example, you have a book like this, hold it at this edge and try to rotate it. Now you see that mass is very much far away from the axis. From here, this was the axis of rotation, from there mass is very much far away. Now try to put your fingers in the middle and try to rotate. Then mass is this way. If you see how much distant it is, you can visualize it. Similarly, if you have a cylinder like this, rotate it in this axis, about this axis, mass is far away from axis, rotate like this, it will be easy for you. Why? Your fingers feel less stress, because when mass is distributed nearer to the axis, it is easy to rotate. If you have a pen in your hand, rotate it like this, perpendicular to its length. Now rotate it along the axis like this. It will be very easy. Similarly, your body itself has a distributed mass. About the stomach axis, if you try to rotate your body, it will be difficult. But about this vertical axis, if you want to rotate like this, it will be easy, because moment of inertia deals with mass and its distribution nearer to the axis, distribution around the axis. If distribution is quite nearer to the axis of rotation, moment of inertia we say less. If mass is placed far away from axis, we say moment of inertia is more. So this is a basic idea. Just you can see this diagram. This is an empirical fact from which we will construct a very big mathematics related to moment of inertia. That is going to come now. In another way also related to translation and rotation, I can tell one more thing. If this is the object is there, if you hold and like a suitcase and walk like this, suitcase like this and walk, translation you are doing, then mass, where is it present is unimportant. Similarly, if you hold it like this and walk, there is no difference with respect to mass. This is say 200 grams. 200 grams like this you translate, or like this you translate, there is no difference. But the 200 grams if you rotate like this about one axis, such that 100 grams and 100 grams are distributed in one way from the axis, 100 grams and 100 grams are distributed one way from the axis. Here, this if you take the axis, distribution from the axis is nearer. If you take this as the axis, distribution from the axis is far away. When it is far away, it will be difficult. When it is nearer, it will be easier. So translation wise, mass is sufficient to analyze. But when you come to rotation, along with the mass, placement of mass, configuration of mass, or distribution of mass around the axis plays a role. That is what we call moment of inertia. Now comes what we understood, that there is a concept called rotational inertia. Let us give it symbol I. It depends on mass and its presence from the axis of rotation. Now the question is it m square r or m r square or m cube r power 4? What kind of relation exists depending on mass and distribution? First we need to understand. For that we take support of previous learned physics. For example, this you take it as axis and let us circulate one particle of mass m around it. The mass is circulating around an axis. At any given instant, its speed will be tangential to the path, and this distance is r. We have rotation kinetic energy translational is equal to half m v square, speed square. When you want to convert this many joules, say this came out to be some 100 joules. So this particle has 100 joules of kinetic energy. Now half m I keep as it is. We know that at any given time v is equal to r omega. If you know rotational angular velocity about this axis, at any instant v can be found out, r omega whole square. Without disturbing this 100 joules, we are just writing a factor like this. Previously it said 10 into 10 is there, then we are writing 10 into 5 into 2 like that we are writing, 5 to the 10 again back. So just we are trying to reorganize the things. In the process we get half mr square omega square. Now we have to apply translation and rotation analogies. This represents motion term in translation, and this represents inertia in translation. This is some number. Now you see similar number half is there here. There it was speed square in translation, now it is angular speed square, term related to motion in rotation. Now the term which was left over previously was the term of inertia, term related to inertia in translation. So this should be the term related to inertia in rotation. Inertia in rotation. So that term we defined it as moment of inertia. And that is equal to mass times of this r is, don't read it as radius, read it as perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. Read it as perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. Mass times of perpendicular distance from axis whole square. So moment of inertia is defined as product of mass and square of distance from axis of rotation. So now this we will remember it. Instead of one particle, you have one more particle here at a distance r1, mass m1, at a distance r2, m2, r3, m3, multiple particles are there. What to do? So each of them will contribute to inertia. So I is equal to sigma I is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus so on, that of m1 r1 square, m2 r2 square, dot dot dot. So I is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n mi ri square. This could be the expression for moment of inertia of discrete particles rotating about an axis. So this formula, if the mass distribution is continuous like a rod, such that there is one mass here, there is one mass here, so like that continuously is there, not even there is any discontinuity. When there is a discontinuity, you can use this formula, but there is continuous mass distribution is there, we replace integration with summation with integration, r square dm. So we chop a small mass dm and its distance from the axis we will take into account, and we find elemental moment of inertia. By integrating elemental moment of inertia, we get total moment of inertia. R square dm gives you integral di, elemental moment of inertia. Out of the total moment of inertia, part of it you have found out. Such parts, when you sum it up like this, you got the total moment of inertia. But it is not a discrete sum, it's a continuous sum. Continuous summation is called integration. So I will write like this: I is equal to integral r square dm. Now let us apply this formula for this kind of rod. So I am rotating about this axis like this, like this. So when I am rotating like this, say length of this rod is say L, and here the axis of rotation lies at its end and perpendicular to the length, at its end and perpendicular to the length. So at a distance r, I chop a small portion dr such that the mass of dr is m, which is equal to lambda dr, where lambda is uniform distribution of mass. Lambda is defined as total mass by total length or linear density. It is capital M by dm, this is capital M by L dr. Such chopped masses of each dm will lie from 0 to the end L. So now we write this formula: I is equal to integral r square dm. These dm's are starting from 0 here to the end L. So length of the rod is capital L, mass of the total rod is capital M. So now what we can write: r square dm can be written as lambda dr, which can be written as r square capital M by L dr, integral. What are constants, you can remove it. What are variables, keep it as it is. So r, which is taken from here onwards, which is going to vary. So from this m and l I take common out. M by L is common. Integral r square dm starting from 0 to L. Such integration x power n dx. X power n dx is x power n plus 1. Capital M by L r power 1 plus 1 by 1 plus 1. This is starting from limit 0 ending to the limit L. So upper limit minus lower limit, when you do m by L, upper limit is this: L square by 2. In place of r you substitute L. L square by 2 minus 0 square by 2. Sorry, this is r square, no? 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1. So L square by 3, 0 square by 3. So it is m L cube by L into 3. L and square gets cancelled. So final formula is ml square by 3. So this rod is having a length L. When you rotate about this axis, when you rotate about this axis, then moment of inertia of this mass is coming out to be ml square by 3. Here we have to pause for a moment and try to understand. We define moment of inertia as what? Mass and distance from axis of rotation. Say now if you separate it, m L by root 3 whole square we got. ml square by 3, I am writing it as L square, root 3 whole square is again 3 only it comes. ml by root 3 whole square we are getting. So mass of the rod is no problem. Previously also we defined moment of inertia as mass only. But perpendicular distance from axis of rotation is not coming as length of the rod. Why? Because from this axis there is a mass which is nearer. From this axis there is a mass far away. From this axis there is a mass nearer. From this axis there is a mass far away. So we don't have mass at a same place. If you crush this rod into a point mass and rotate it around, previously the diagram I rubbed it off here. So how was the diagram here? The axis was like this, I written dotted line, and I took one mass like this. That means I put overall mass at the same at a particular distance, perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. So when mass is concentrated, that distance was perpendicular distance from axis of rotation, but when mass is distributed, that perpendicular distance from axis of rotation coming out to be like this. This value L by root 3, we call it as radius of gyration. It is nothing but average distance where overall mass is supposed to be concentrated. Here comes little troublesome part. Try to understand. This is the rod. I didn't rotate it like this. I didn't rotate it like this. Rather I am rotating it like this. I hope you understood. So about edge axis, about the end axis when I am rotating, overall mass is not situated at one particular distance. It is here, 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 here. So mass is distributed throughout its length. If I crush this mass, say this is some 100 grams. If I crush it into a 100 gram small pellet, then where that pellet I should keep it? Should I keep it very near to the axis, very far away from axis? Where I should keep? Such that this rotation and that rotation will be equivalent. So that rotation is that you have to keep it at a distance called average distance. Average of all these distance. Moreover, it is not distance, average distance square. So that distance, particular distance is called radius of gyration, and that here came out to be L by root 3 whole square. How to calculate radius of gyration? Means there is a simple way of doing it in future. Take this wherever whichever formula you get moment of inertia, different ml square by 3, ml square by 12. When you rotate it at some other place, you will get ml square by 24. Different values you will get it. Don't worry about it. Whatever answer you get it, write it as total mass into average distance square. Write like this. What is average distance square? That is radius of gyration square. So this mass and LHS, this mass and RHS gets cancelled. This square and this square you can remove it. So K is equal to L by root 3. K is equal to L by root 3. This is the method of finding radius of gyration. What's the advantage of knowing radius of gyration? Means you know the average radius. It's basically a replacement. Previously also when I was discussing center of mass, I told you black money need not be black in color or money form. Center of mass need not be at center, it need not be possessing any matter. Like that I given some analogies and I tried to explain. Their supposition means what I told. 2 5-star chocolates is equal to 1 10 rupees Reynolds pen is equal to 10 rupee paper currency. I told there is a supposition. That means 3 different things we are replacing one with other in their equivalent values. Here also distributed mass, when you want to call it as concentrated mass, there must be some physical equivalence. There must be some physical equivalence. So when you do the calculation of radius of gyration, when you don't use the calculation of radius of gyration and you calculate moment of inertia of that particular rod, using your calculation ml square by 3, coming out to be something called 100. 100 moment of inertia is mr square, kg meter square, kg meter square. And actual mass of this rod is say 3 kg. Just example, 3 kg k square is equal to I. So this and this values to become equal, what should we do? So 3 you bring it down. So I is equal to 100 by 3, sorry, k is equal to, k square is equal to 100 by 3, k is equal to 100 by 3, root, 10 by root 3. So radius of gyration, that means this value if you take 10 by root 3, where you keep the total mass 3 kg, that will give you same value as this. So this is a physical equivalence. Physics wise, these two numbers become equal. So by taking mass of the rod, length of the rod, squaring the length of the rod, dividing with 3, ml square by 3 was the formula derived from for its end. Using that formula, whatever you calculate it, that number, say 10 it comes, that is equal to mk square. And m is say 1 kg, k square is equal to 10 by 1 under root when you remove the k. So this way we will get radius of gyration. Radius of gyration is a supposition where mass of the whole system is concentrated. It is nothing but an average distance from axis of rotation. Because you are going to get different shapes of objects, this definition will be very useful and it is having many other uses in future. Once we go to rolling motion kind of thing, a cylinder can roll, a ball can roll, a disc can roll, a ring can roll, different objects capable of rolling. So you have to derive separate expressions because each of their mass distribution is different. Sphere distribution of mass is different from a cylindrical distribution of mass. Cylindrical distribution of mass is different from a ring mass distribution of mass. So distribution of mass plays a major role in rotations. When they roll, there will be a combined translation and rotation. When involve that kind of calculations, we have to do separate derivation for sphere, separate derivation for cylinder, separate derivation for ring, separate derivation for disc, circular disc, separate derivation for hollow cylinder, separate derivation for solid cylinder, separate derivation for spherical hollow shell, separate derivation for spherical hollow solid cylinder, solid sphere. How many derivations we like that? If you can generalize all of them with k square term, whatever may be the mass, we kept it at an average distance k. Like that, if you take and derive it, depending on the radius of gyration of the object, each we can go to the specific derivation. So radius of gyration, by knowing it, we make that object shape independent. We make the object shape independent. So that will be very much useful when we do some derivations, when we do some mathematical formulas and we remember them. So I'll explain when I do rolling motion. This is over. We have done a problem on this kind of formula, I is equal to r square dm. Similarly, I'll take one ring, thin ring, and from the center I draw one axis. Ring is like this and axis is like this, such that I chop a small portion dm, it is at a distance r. I chop some more portion, that is also distance r. I chop some other portion, this is also distance r. I chop some more portion, that is also distance r. You are thinking that this r is small, this r is large. No, ring is like this and axis is like this, ring is not like this. So in this case, we use the same formula. I is equal to integral r square dm. Previously, when we take a rod, r was a variable, r was here, r was here, r was here, but now this time r is a constant, take the r out, r square integral dm. So you have to take this mass, add it to the next 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 mass. What you are going to get finally? You are going to get the ring mass of the total ring. So formula for that is r square capital M. So I is equal to m r square, where r is the radius. So if you are taking a physically one small r we use for perpendicular distance from axis of rotation, let us take this as a capital R. It's only for the convenience. So that r square comes out common, mr square. Now if you want to find the radius of gyration, you should equate it to mk square. Gets cancelled, square and r gets cancelled. So k is equal to r. Radius of gyration itself is equal to radius of the ring. Why? Because physically the distance what you kept and the average distance is also same. Why? Because every mass you kept at same distance. Previously, this was a rod, this is the axis. You kept one mass nearer, one mass far away. Now if when you are distributing in form of a ring, one mass is here, one mass is here, one mass is here, one mass is here, one mass is here. So all the masses you kept at an equal distance. So previously radius of gyration came L by root 3. This time radius of gyration came physical radius of the ring, that is wherever you kept, that itself is the average. Now, if you take a circular disc, circular disc is formed by circular rings of increasing radius, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. So finally you made a circular disc, not circular ring. In that case, one mass is kept nearby, one mass is kept far away. So you have to take one chopped mass, and that strip mass you should know. That strip mass will be nothing but the ring of that length, circumference. Using that we can integrate from 0 to r, we can get. So those formulas, we will remember it as memory table. Now derivations I am skipping it because our topic is very big. So many things, parallel axis theorem, perpendicular axis theorem, several things have to be covered here. So what I am saying is, distribution of mass depends on the shape of the object. Circular disc will have one distribution, circular ring will have one distribution, solid sphere will have one distribution, different objects, scale will have one distribution. Not only that, same scale which we derived ml square by 3 like this, no, when we are rotating. Now if you rotate about the center, previously we done integration between 0 to capital L. Now you have to do, left side limit is minus L by 2, right side limit is plus L by 2. Like that if you do it, previously answer came out to be ml square by 3, this will come ml square by 12. Moment of inertia got reduced. ml square by 3 is a bigger value. ml square by 12, you are dividing with a big number, means it comes out to be easy, smaller value, because this way it will be easy. And when you rotate it like that, if at all it's a very thin rod, moment of inertia is 0 also, because all the mass you kept it on the same axis. Say I have an agarbatti here. So in this case of agarbatti, overall mass is on the axis itself. So if you rotate it, it will be extremely easy. See, by the time I do like this, it has made 12 to 20 rotations just from, when I do like this only, by that time so many rotations it make, because moment of inertia will be terribly small. Even for, once we use the word called thin, we can say that moment of inertia of thin rod can be taken as to be 0 about its axis through its cylindrical axis, I mean. Now let us take 3 masses, 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg. We will find moment of inertia about an axis through its cm. First we will find cm. So this distance is 1 meter, this distance is 1 meter. x1 is equal to 0, x2 is after travelling a length of 1 meter, x3 is after travelling a length of 2 meters. This is m1, this is m2, this is m3. First we have to find center of mass of this. xcm, one dimensional, no? xcm is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3 by m1 plus m2 plus m3. 2 1s are 2, 3 2s are 6. 2 plus 6 is 8 by 6. 4 by 3. 4 by 3. That is nothing but 1.33. So approximately after 1 it will come somewhere here. The distance is 4 by 3. So now we will find moment of inertia of this about this vertical axis. If you rotate the rod made up of massless strips and 3 heavy masses, 1 kg, 2 kg and 3 kg concentrated masses, what is the moment of inertia about this axis, which is center of mass of it? To do that, first we should know this distance. You should know this distance. You should know this distance from here to here. This is already known, it is 4 by 3. Just now we calculated center of mass from here, we calculated, no, 4 by 3. Now what could be this distance? Subtract 1 from it. 4 by 3 minus 1. It comes out to be 1 by 3. This distance comes out to be 1 by 3. This distance I want. 1 minus 1 by 3. 3 1s are 3. 2 by 3. You know all the distances now. Find moment of inertia about center of mass. First mass 1 kg into 4 by 3 square plus 2 kg, that is 1 by 3 distance, plus 3 kg is at a 2 by 3 distance. LCM will be 9, 3 square, 3 square, 3 square, 9. This is 4 square, 16. 2 square, 4 3s are 12. 12 plus 2, 14 plus 16, 30 by 9. 10 by 3. So I is equal coming out to be 10 by 3. Moment of inertia is mass into perpendicular distance whole square. Kg meter square. And how to find radius of gyration? I told you that you can equate it to mk square. And that m is what? Total mass of the system. 1 plus 2 plus 3 into k square. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6k square is equal to your 10 by 3. This 6 goes here. 6 3s are 18. So k is equal to root over 10 by 18. You can simplify it. So these three masses kept at three different distances. One is kept at a distance of 1 by 3, other is kept at a distance of 2 by 3 from center of mass, other is kept at a distance of 4 by 3 from center of mass. Now I should take what is authentic. Shall I take this distance to be important, or this distance is important, or this distance? None of them. And this new distance, what is you are going to calculate it is 10 by root 18, whatever an answer comes. You can write as 2 5s are, 2 9s are, root 5 by 9, root 5 by 3 is a distance called radius of gyration. That's the average distance where all the three masses are being kept. That can be taken like that. Or I can take this axis like this only. This is the axis of rotation. I take one distance, this side or that side, everywhere it's applicable, where 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg, 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg, unitedly I kept it at certain distance. And this distance is neither 2 by 3, nor 1 by 3, nor 4 by 3. It is root 5 by 3. This root 5 by 3 is called radius of gyration. What is radius of gyration? I define it later on, but I am telling you how to calculate it first. Basically, it's an average distance where concentrated mass is supposed to be present. Distributed mass behaves as a concentrated mass at one particular distance. That distance we call it as radius of gyration. Anyhow, this is not the topic of interest. Moment of inertia of center of mass. My interest is to prove something else. What is that? Is I want to prove that previously I told any object when you throw like this in center of mass, unconstrained rotations of any object occur about center of mass. If you take any one object into your hand and throw it like a frisbee, instead of choosing this as axis of rotation, this as axis of rotation, this, it will choose this axis of rotation which is about center of mass. So center of mass, always moment of inertia about center of mass will be less. So always an object tries to rotate about an axis passing through its CM. Moreover, center of mass acts as a natural pivot, natural hinge in a body. When it is not been, when body is not hinged, center of mass behaves as a natural pivot. Anyhow, now I will want moment of inertia about this axis. Say that axis I call I1 axis. 1 into on the axis object is there, 1 into 0 square plus 2 into 1 square. 2 kg is at a distance of 1 meter plus 3 into 2 square. 3 kg is at a distance of 2 meters. So this comes out to be what? 2 square, 4, 3s are 12 plus 2 plus 0. So 14. Obviously 14 is more than 10 by 3. Now I want to find moment of inertia about 2 kg's axis, this one, this axis. So we have 2 kgs here, 3 kgs here, 1 kg here. I want this axis. Previously 0. This was the axis of rotation. 1, 2, 3. Now this time 1 is at a distance 1 into 1 square. 2 is on the axis 0 square plus 3 is at a distance of 1 square. This I call I2. 3, 1, 4 kg meter square. This 4 kg meter square is also more than 10 by 3. You just check it out. Next comes this axis. I have 1 kg here, 2 kg here, 3 kg here, and this is the axis of rotation. 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg. 1 is at a distance of 2 meters. 2 is at a distance of 1 meter. 3 is on the axis. This I call I3. 2 square 4, 6 total. 2 square is 4 plus 2, 6. I3 is 6. 6 is also more than. So whether you rotate about this axis, whether you rotate about this axis, whether you rotate about this axis, Moment of inertia coming out to be the lowest about center of mass axis. Moment of inertia coming lowest compared to any other axis. Just a moment, I'll just have water. We shall continue. Now, taking moment of inertia about center of mass to be 2 by 3, a distance 2 by 1 by 3, whatever distances are there, just we will write that value for time being. We have this mass, and this mass, and center of mass is somewhere here, and moment of inertia about this axis is coming out to be 10 by 3, which is the lowest. For that, these distances are also needed. This is 1 by 3, this distance is 2 by 3 up to here, and from this center of mass axis this distance is 4 by 3. Some interesting things are going to happen now that you have to wait and watch. Moment of inertia about this axis came out to be 14. So I1 came out to be 14. This 14 you can get it in some other way without doing calculation. That is, the lowest value, what is the moment of inertia about center of mass, you take. So 10 by 3 plus add total mass of the system 1 plus 2 plus 3 into distance between center of mass and this axis. This is 4 by 3, previously we discussed. 4 by 3 whole square. You see that these two will come equal. This is what is called parallel axis theorem. What is that? I'll show it to you now. 10 by 3 plus this is 6, 4 square, 16 by 9. 3 2s are 3 3s are. LCM is 3. 10 plus 16 2s are 32. 32 plus 10, 42 by 3. 3 1s are 3, 4s are 12. You got LHS is equal to RHS. This theorem we call it as parallel axis theorem. I am going to state it now. Moment of inertia about any axis for any mass distribution, any shape, any size, anything is equal to this axis was center of mass axis. Moment of inertia about center of mass axis, and that axis must be parallel to this axis. That axis must be parallel to this axis plus total mass of the system, that is we have taken 1 plus 2 plus 3, total mass of the system times distance between the two axes whole square, perpendicular distance between the two axes whole square. This theorem we define it as parallel axis theorem. So once again I need to explain it by taking one physical example. I have some thermocol sheet. I want moment of inertia about any axis. I have axis like this and I want to rotate this object about this axis like this. Moment of inertia about any axis. I should have anywhere also I can have axis which will be parallel to this, but it's not the condition. We need to have an axis which is parallel to this axis and should pass through center of mass. So I think I am clear to the camera. So if I put it exactly like this, such that this axis passes through, the second axis passes through the center of mass. So this is any axis. This I can keep it anywhere. Here, anywhere I can have. Moment of inertia about this axis, rotation of this body, mass distribution around this axis is equal to the calculated value around this axis is equal to moment of inertia about this axis which is parallel to this and passes through center of mass. Compulsory this second axis, whatever I am talking, it should pass through center of mass of this rotation. The rotation about this axis is equal to sum of rotational inertia about this axis plus product of two things. What is the product of two things? Mass of this whole system, mass of this body, into distance between these two axes, which is going to change. When I lift this axis and keep it somewhere else, the distance is going to change. Thereby, at any parallel axis, I can calculate the moment of inertia. That means, in future, we have certain shape like cuboid, cube, sphere, cylinder, like that objects. Once you have it, if you remember moment of inertia of that particular object about its center of mass, that means you make a memory chart. There are 8 objects, don't worry, not many of them, regular objects. Like stone and all are in a curved irregular shape, that will not by heart it. But a regular shaped object, which we use mostly in our daily life in science and engineering, that simple shaped, which have geometrical meaning, like it is have a perfect shape, radius, surface area, all defined objects only we will by heart for them. Like how you remember formula of area of circle pi r square, volume of cylinder pi r square h, like that we remember some formulas. About which axis? Center of mass axis. Once you know center of mass axis, that means some value you know, plus something else you have to add it. Immediately you will get moment of inertia about any other parallel axis. So what we do, we take one object, we will find using all your integration techniques and differentiation whatever techniques are there you use, and find the moment of inertia about an axis which passes through center of mass. Not only this axis, you can have an axis here also, this can also pass through center of mass. So you may have to remember 2 values, 2 or more, depending on 3 dimensions mean 3 values you may remember. But don't worry, there are several symmetric objects like sphere. For a sphere everything is same, for cubes everything is same. Okay, this axis also passes through center of mass, this axis also passes through center of mass. So that kind of related data we by heart and memorize. Why we by heart and memorize? Because any other axis you want, very quickly we can get it through parallel axis theorem. Similarly, now I want moment of inertia about this axis, which is I3. That is equal to moment of inertia about center of mass axis, which is 10/3, plus total mass of this system is 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg, 6 kg, into this distance whole square. This distance was 2/3 whole square. I open it, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9. Furthermore, 3 3s are 3 2s are 2 4s are 8. So this is 10 plus 8/3. 10 plus 8/3 is 18/3. 10 plus 8/3, 10, 2 4s are 8, 3 is the LCM, 3 1s are 3 6s are. So previously also you got 6, 1 into 1 square, 2 into 1 square, 3 into 0 square, when you have done answer you got it as 6. Now without doing multiple masses, see how difficult it is. Once you have this kind of object, there is a mass here, 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 there is a mass here. Several masses are at several places, all the masses are not at same place. So it's a very complex thing. Once you have discrete 2 or 3 masses, doing calculation using m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square plus m4 r square square, this is easy when you have only 2 or 3 masses. But you have hundreds of masses kept at different distances, it's not so easy. So in that way, if you know moment of inertia of an object about center of mass axis, it's always easy to convert it into any other parallel axis using parallel axis theorem. This theorem is called parallel axis theorem. Statement is little confusing, I'll tell you once again. Moment of inertia of a body about an axis, about any axis, first this one, about any axis is equal to sum of moment of inertia about parallel axis which passes through CM, center of mass, parallel axis which passes through center of mass, and product of mass of the whole system and square of the distance between the 2 parallel axes. Square of the distance between the 2 parallel axes. This kind of a theorem we call it as parallel axis theorem. It's having very much good advantage many a times. So previously we had moment of inertia of a rod about this axis, and that is any axis, I about any axis is equal to, we have center of mass axis will be there, ICM, plus mass of the whole rod, distance between these 2 axes is, total length is say L, this is L/2 whole square. Previously we have done calculation for any axis, that came out to be ML square by 3 is equal to ICM. This is ML square by 4. This is a plus term, bring it this side, minus term it will become, minus ML square by 4. So LCM is 12. 4 goes 3 times, minus 3 ml square plus 3 goes 4 times, 4 ml square is equal to I about center of mass. So now we get I about center of mass axis is ml square by 12. You can get radius of gyration about this, L by root 12. L by root 12. That means instead of rotating this scale about this axis where you got moment of inertia as ml square by 3, now rotate about the center of mass axis. You will get it as ml square by 12. It's not compulsory that you should know only center of mass axis, you cannot find other. If you by knowing other thing you can find center of mass, moment of inertia about center of mass also, vice versa. By knowing this and this you can find this. By knowing this and this you can find this. Whatever, any way you can use it. Say when you are given a formula, it is not that V is equal to U plus AT is always to be used to find final velocity. No, you can even find initial velocity by knowing final velocity and acceleration and time. So multiple uses will be there, but still procedure wise when we do, we find moment of inertia about center of mass and we remember it. This so many, parallel axis means you can have one axis here, one axis here, one axis here, one axis here, so many. Even this axis outside also we can have an axis. So for this scale I can tie one thread and I can rotate it. So axis need not be here itself, axis can be anywhere. So better not to remember moment of inertia about any other axis except center of mass axis. It will be advantageous for us, but we can do the calculation either way depending on the situation. Now question comes, why we need to learn this theorem? Reason is, just see here. Suppose you have a ring and we are rotating ring about this axis. This is, the axis is like this. This distance, this distance, this distance, this distance, this, all are at same distance. Very convenient. All the mass is at same distance. Calculation, integrations become easy. But the same ring, about this axis I want to rotate. That means next stage ring comes like this, next stage ring comes like this, next stage ring comes like this, it will rotate like that. In that case, you see, dm some mass is here, 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 some mass is here. So mass is at different distances. Now doing integration even for a good mathematician becomes difficult, because previously when it was at equal distances, something was constant brought out of integration. Now everything is at a variable distance and variable dm we are taking. So better easy, take the easiest one, make the calculation and shift it using parallel axis theorem. If you know moment of inertia about this axis, you can shift it here using parallel axis theorem. Moment of inertia of a body about any axis is equal to sum of moment of inertia about parallel axis which passes through center of mass and mass of this whole body times of distance between these two axes whole square. That way, lot of mathematics we can avoid by learning one theorem. That is what actually we do. Let's take a little pause. I'll discuss perpendicular axis theorem also. Yes, students, we will continue with it. We will take the basic formula sigma I is equal to 1 to n mi ri square. Let us take 4 equal masses. It's not compulsory the masses should be equal. Previously we take 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg like that, but it's convenience. So all of them are mass m and m and m. And it's placed on rectangles, and these rods are massless rods like this. So previously this mass was considerable and this rod is just to hold it, we are taking it. First of all, axis you don't need to have like that in a okay. So these are massless rods and concentrated masses, each of them are been kept like that. Now we want some different axes about which we want rotation to happen. So first I draw one axis. This axis is x-axis for me, which I call x axis. And I want moment of inertia about x axis, I x, and this expansion is m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square, because summation from I is equal to 1 to n, here you have 4 particles, plus m4 r4 square. Now I am doing I about x axis calculation. You see about this axis, this distance is 4. This is a rectangle, double it. This is also 4. So this with respect to this axis of rotation, this distance is also 4, this distance is also 4. So I have a rectangle like this and I am making rotation like this. That way you can imagine 4 masses at the corners and light massless rods are being connected. So in that process we get m into 4 square, m into 4 square, m into 4 square, m into 4 square. So you get 4 times of m into 4 square. 4 square, 16 4s are 64. This is moment of inertia about xx axis. Next, if I take moment of inertia about this axis, which I call y axis. If I rotate the object like this. So, moment of inertia about this axis we have found out, which came out to be 64 m. Now this axis we have to do. What will happen? y axis. What will? This distance is at a distance 3, this will be at 3 from axis, perpendicular distance from axis of rotation, perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. So 4 masses are there which are at a distance of 3 square. 3 square 9, 9 4s are 36, 36 m. It is kg meter square only. Mass will be in kgs and this is 36 came out to be meter square only, that is kg meter square, moment of inertia formula. Now we rotate about this axis, which is called it as z axis. Not understood? This is xx axis, this is y axis. Now like this, that is z axis, about this axis. That means I am holding the book like this and I am rotating it like this. This you can imagine. For that rotation, same thing, izz is equal to what? This is at a phi theta distance. You may think that, sir, this angle is not 90 degrees. It is 90 degrees because axis will lie like this. You have to take this angle. Not understood? You will have axis like this. Perpendicular distance from axis. So this is distance will come. Mass, this distance. This should be perpendicular to the axis. It is perpendicular to the axis only. So some people see this and they think this angle is not 90. No, not like that. This line, and when you have axis here. Previously axis was sleeping like this on the book. Now the axis is like this, standing straight. Okay then. 4 masses, each are at distance 5 meter square. 5 square, 25 4s are 100 m. If you concentrate and see something connecting, this will happen. Looks like something connecting them. This plus this is equal to this. Moment of inertia about z axis is equal to moment of inertia about xx axis plus moment of inertia about y axis. This itself is called perpendicular axis theorem. But here the problem is the book was kept in xy plane. Instead of that, the book was kept in xz plane. Then ixx plus izz will give you iyy. If at all book is kept in this plane, yz plane, iyy, izz will give you ixx. That means moment of inertia of a plane body about an axis perpendicular to its plane is equal to sum of moment of inertia about two perpendicular axes lying on the same plane. Lying means sleeping on the plane. See, this is what I call sleeping on the plane. This is axis sleeping on the plane. This is standing on the plane. So standing on the plane axis, moment of inertia you want, then you have to take moment of inertia sleeping on the axis, sleeping on the plane, but those two axes should be mutually perpendicular. Those two axes must be mutually perpendicular, then only you will get that. Okay. To make you more satisfied, I will take some more axes. If I have all these things, you will get confused. I remove some of the non-required things. Same situation, but instead of taking axis here, I take axis here, xx axis. For convenience, you can call it as x dash axis, I, x dash. The problem is here, two of the masses are on the axis. That should not be considered because m into 0 square, it will not come. So this distance previously it was 4 plus 4, 8. So two masses which yield 0, which lie on the axis, two masses which yield m into 8 square. 8 square 64. 64 2s are 128 m for x dash axis. Similarly, I take axis here, y dash axis. Previously axis I took here, not understood? X axis, y axis, x dash axis, y dash axis, z axis, holding at the corner I am rotating, z dash axis, like that. Think. Okay then. Now for this axis, this mass and this mass lie on the axis, so they contribute to 0 moment of inertia. 3 plus 3 was the distance, 6. So y dash is 2 masses which will contribute for rotation moment of inertia, and 2 masses will lie on the axis, don't contribute for moment of inertia, into m into 6 square. 6 square is 36. 36 2s are 72 m. Now comes rotation about this axis. This is a z axis. One mass at a distance of 6 meters, one mass at a distance of 8 meters, one mass at a distance of 10 meters. None of the masses are at same distance. Different masses are at different distances. So now I do, this is x dash. I z dash is equal to m into one mass on the axis, 0 square, plus m into 6 square, plus m into 8 square, plus m into 10 square. 6 square 36m, 8 square 64m, 10 square 100m. This comes out to be 200m. 64 plus 36 is 100, 100 plus 100, 200m. Now you can again see that 128 plus 72, moment of inertia about this axis which is lying on the plane, sleeping on the plane, moment of inertia about this axis which is lying on the plane, sleeping on the plane, and they are mutually perpendicular, and perpendicular to the moment of inertia of the line standing on the plane, axis perpendicular to the plane. That axis is coming out to be true. This theorem is called perpendicular axis theorem. Moreover, if you find something like this axis I want, moment of inertia about this axis. How to find moment of inertia about that axis? Diagonal axis. Not understood? This is the axis. This axis. Moment of inertia about diagonal axis. How to find? This mass and this mass lie on the axis, so they contribute to m into 0 square plus m into 0 square. Say you call it as AA axis. AA. This axis you call it as AA. IAA we want to find. This distance is not perpendicular distance for this axis. This axis is not standing like this, it's sleeping. So I want this perpendicular distance. We should drop like this. This distance I want. Previously, when this was 3, 4, 5, this angle is 53 degrees. So this angle also will be 53 degrees. This and this are corresponding angles, 53, 53. So when this is 53 and this is 90, this will be 37. This length is hypotenuse, which is 3 plus 3, which was 6 meters. You can take this as 6 cos 37 or 6 sin 53, whatever way you want. I'll take that so I know this angle 37 degrees and I know this angle 90 degrees. This is the hypotenuse for this triangle. This is 6 cos 37. Similarly, you will get 1 here from this. That is also same, 6 cos 37. So plus 6 cos 37 square into m plus 6 cos 37 whole square into m. This comes out to be 6 cos 37. Cos 37 what? This is 37, this will be 3, this will be 4, this will be 5. 4 by 5. 4 by 5 whole square m. Such two things are there, 2 times. 4 square 16. Acha. 6 4s are 6 into 6 into 4 into 4 by 5 into 5 into 2. Calculate that answer, you will get it. My intention was to tell you how to drop a perpendicular, because by definition r is not radius, it is perpendicular distance from axis of rotation. You have to think whether axis sleeps on the plane or perpendicular to the plane. If it is perpendicular to the plane, every line on the plane will be perpendicular to that axis. That care you need to take. Don't ignore that. And now if you get the answer, this answer, suppose you get moment of inertia about this axis and this axis, if you add these two, you will not get moment of inertia about this axis, because these two are not mutually perpendicular. In perpendicular axis theorem, each axis must be mutually perpendicular to one another, and two of the axes should be sleeping on the plane and one axis should be standing on the plane, and all of them should meet at one point. Then only perpendicular axis theorem will be true. Now I give the statement in word form. Moment of inertia of a body about an axis which is perpendicular to the plane, this rotation, is equal to sum of moment of inertia about two mutually perpendicular axes lying on the same plane passing through the same common point. This theorem is called perpendicular axis theorem. So parallel axis theorem, perpendicular axis theorem are the most important theorems. So what we know, we'll write it once again. Moment of inertia about this axis, so this I call it as IYY axis for a circular ring or circular disc. We will take circular ring first, and this axis I call XX axis. XX axis, IYY axis. According to perpendicular axis theorem, just now we've done moment of inertia about this axis like this, and the axis should lie perpendicular to the plane. This axis is sleeping on the plane, this axis is sleeping on the plane, and this axis standing on the plane like this, and all of them should pass through same point. So that is IZZ. Perpendicular axis theorem states that IZZ is equal to IXX plus IYY. In this lecture only, during derivation, I told that if you take moment of inertia about this axis, every mass is at the same distance r. So this comes out to be total mass of the ring m, radius of the ring square. But IXX is nothing but diameter. IYY is also diameter. So there is no difference for this kind of a disc. It's not a human being, no. It don't have any feeling about this. Mass distribution this side, that side is same. Mass distribution this side, that side is same. So there is no distinction. Symmetry says that these two are same. So 2 times of I about diameter should be equal to mr square. So bring that 2 down. This 2 I brought it down like this. So this is the moment of inertia about diameter axis. For ring, not for disc. This is for ring, not for disc. For disc it should be calculated separately. So here we use 3 concepts. IXS is equal to IYY I took through symmetry. Equating these two, I use the concept of, what I am saying is there is no difference between this half is for this or this way distribution. That is symmetry. I use overall theorem called perpendicular axis theorem. Then I took that IZZ is equal to mr square. This is integrated value, integral r square dm. Using that I calculated moment of inertia in the beginning of the lecture. That I used. So 3 concepts using which we can avoid integrations and we can find the answer. Suppose about this diameter, this axis I know, about this diameter axis I want. So one mass is here, one mass is here, one mass is here, one mass is here. If you chop it, each mass will be at a different distance. Okay, you will have equally symmetric distances, but these 2 masses are at same distance, but next 2 masses are at next distance, next 2 masses are at different distance. So it's a complicated integration compared to if you have axis like this, different masses are at different distances. If you have axis like this, all the masses are at same distance. So by using this theorem called perpendicular axis theorem, we have reduced the calculation part. Now this is a ring. Moment of inertia about this axis is about center of mass, that is I is equal to mr square. About this diameter axis, just now we got half mr square. About tangent in the plane, mr square plus this distance square, mr square plus mr square by 2, 3 by 2 mr square it will come. Just use parallel axis theorem. This is passing through center of mass and parallel axis. Then about this axis, that means this is one axis about which rotation. This is another axis I am talking about. This and this axis are on the plane. This axis is shift from here to here. Axis we generally store with star. 2 mr square. Why? Mr square like this, we have shifted here. So you have to play like this. Hold your finger like this. Take a pen or your finger itself. Mr square, 2 mr square. Mr square by 2, 3 by 2 mr square. This play you should be playing so that you can remember this without using anything in your hand. Just mr square, 2 mr square. Mr square by 2, 3 by 2 mr square. This way you have to play. And now in future, not ring, this I am talking about disc. About disc, this will be mr square by 2. Diameter will be half of it, mr square by 4. Mr square by 2, when you shift it here, this will become 3 by 2 mr square. Mr square by 4, when you shift it here, it will become 5 by 4 mr square. So for the ring and disc, you have to be playing like this. I will play for ring first. Mr square, 2 mr square. Mr square by 2, 3 by 2 mr square. Now I will play for disc, circular disc. Okay, this is circle only, but disc you imagine. Mr square by 2, 3 by 2 mr square. Mr square by 4, 5 by 4 mr square. Like that 2 or 3 times you play it so that until you remember it. So that by hearting will be very useful in future. Now I am going to give you one memory chart. While giving memory chart, I will be using certain sentences from my mouth. That is important. Moment of inertia of a thin ring about an axis through its center perpendicular to plane and moment of inertia of a hollow cylinder about cylindrical axis will be same, and that comes out to be total mass of the ring is say capital M and this radius is R. Total mass of this hollow empty cylinder is capital M, this radius is R. mr square will come for both of them. So for thin ring and for hollow cylinder. So distribution, when you increase it like this parallel to the axis, that will not be changing the formula of the calculation. Why? Because in definition I is equal to mass into perpendicular distance from axis. Mass into perpendicular distance, you are going on adding mass, ring over the ring. You kept one ring, then on that you kept one more ring. Like this you are keeping. You are not keeping rings like this. You are keeping rings parallel to the axis. So formula will not change. Only difference is if mass of one ring mass is say 10 grams and you kept 100 rings one over other, this will be 100 grams. Formula remains same. Mass of the ring times radius of the ring square will give the formula for this. Mass of the cylinder times radius of the cylinder square will give you moment of inertia about this. Now, this is the formula for this. Similarly, if you have circular disc, solid cylinder, about cylindrical axis. Formula comes mr square by 2. Derivation to be done, but still you can remember it. Moment of inertia of a solid thin circular disc and solid cylinder about an axis through its center of mass perpendicular to its plane about cylindrical axis. Cylindrical axis obviously passes through center of mass. That is the formula for this. This is hollow sphere, which we call it as hollow spherical shell. This is called sphere. Sphere without a mention means solid sphere. Cylinder without a mention is solid cylinder. If it is cylindric, if it is hollow, they will mention it as either they use the word hollow or they use the word shell. Either they use the word hollow or they use the word shell. Spherical shell, hollow sphere. But sphere, if they tell without a mention, it is understood it is solid. Next, in future we will be talking about pulley. One mass will be hanging like this, one mass will be hanging. pulley is not considered as a ring. Pulley is to be considered as a disc. When you happen to go to your physics lab, you see, ask your teacher to show some pulleys, you will see that it will be disc form, the things what they discuss. So pulley is not a ring, pulley is a disc. So moment of inertia of a disc formula should be used, that is mr square by 2, mass of the pulley times of physical radius of the pulley whole square divided by 2 will give you a moment of inertia of the pulley, but not to be taken as a ring. Okay then. For this it is 2 by 3 mr square, where m is the mass of the sphere and r is the physical radius of the sphere, and this is 2 by 5 mr square. 2 by 3 is more or 2 by 5 is more, you only think. 2 by 3 is more. Hollow sphere, that means you created emptiness and you pushed the mass far away, then it will have more moment of inertia. So hollow sphere will have more moment of inertia, solid sphere will have less moment of inertia. And this coefficient, nothing is there, this 1 becomes the k square by r square value in future. Or you can even get radius of gyrations for this. Mk square equated, here k comes r, here also k comes r, here k comes r by root 2, here k comes, just check it, root 2 by 3 r, root 2 by 5 r, like that you will get it. So these are the objects whose moment of inertia you have to by heart. Reason is, this 5 out of 5 objects capable of rolling from one place to other place. There is a concept called rolling motion where we need all these formulas. Thin ring, hollow cylinder, thin disc, solid cylinder, hollow sphere, solid sphere. Moment of inertia of these objects. 2 more are there. Total 8 we have to by heart. All of them are passing through CM. Remember that. A small conceptual discussion is required. There is a point mass rotating about an axis. So this is some chewing gum kind of thing you can imagine, or hard iron that you can melt it and stretch it. Like that you think. This some thread is there that I hold it like a point mass now. This point mass, when I concentrate it and rotate like this at a distance capital R, and mass is say capital M, moment of inertia is mr square. Moment of inertia is mr square. This mass, I stretch it and I connect it like that such that it forms a ring. So this mass, I stretch it and I spread throughout the ring. So mass is capital M only, but it is distributed in form of a ring. So radius is r. So then also moment of inertia is mr square. I concentrate this mass because I am stretching the mass, but I am not changing the distribution part. Now this mass, concentrated mass, I have it here. I stretch it like this in form of a rod like this, and I rotate it. Total mass is capital M. This length, whatever it comes, say r, it is there. It is the form of a rod. So m L square by 3 formula comes here. So it is mr square by 3 if that radius is r. Whatever length is, you have stretched it. So formula for that is ml square by 3. If this length is say L, you take rod. Now I have this concentrated mass. I stretched it like a rod of length L. Mass m, rod of length L. This distance is say r. You have increased the mass but not perpendicular to the axis. Previously you stretched it perpendicular to the axis. Here you stretched it parallel to the axis. That will not change the formula. It will come out to be mr square. L of no importance. L is of no importance. So like that, how basing on the way you stretch. Similarly now mass is stretched and kept over the axis. This mass I remove it from here, I stretch it and I keep it over the axis. Then length is L, mass is m. So in that case moment of inertia I will be 0. Because if you want to hold it straight like this and to rotate it, mass distribution around the axis we want, and mass itself is on the axis. Therefore, it will be most easiest to rotate, or negligible moment of inertia will come into play. So, point mass, holding and rotating like this. Point mass like a chewing gum, you stretch it and such that you put it at the periphery of a ring. Formula comes same. Stretch it like a rod of some length L. Then it comes ml square by 3 and you are rotating about the edge. Next, stretch it like a rod of any length but keep it at the same distance such that it moves round and round like this. write this. So in that case also formula comes out to be mr square. Stretch it like any length, you can stretch it and rotate about the axis, then moment of inertia becomes 0. This is a conceptual thought process which you have to invoke. In the beginning only I told moment of inertia is defined as mass into perpendicular distance from the axis of rotation whole square. Yes, students, will continue with it. When I started this lecture, I told you moment of inertia of rod about this axis, I derived it. It came out to be ml square by 3. Thin rod of mass m and length L. Using parallel axis theorem, I found out this came out to be ml square by 12. This 2 you have to by heart it will be very useful now onwards. And stretching concept just now I told. So when you stretch this rod such that you made it into a sheet, like chewing gum, I made it into a longer wire, a long rod we made it into a sheet. Then here you have increased the mass parallel to the axis, that will not come into picture. Perpendicular to the axis dimension will come into picture. So it is ml square by 3. Whatever formula you got it here, same thing is applicable there. And same formula, whatever you got it, you will get it here, ml square by 12. But instead of breadth being parallel to the axis, if length being parallel to the axis, then formula changes. M b square by 3 will come here, and for this m b square by 12 comes into picture, and length which is parallel to the axis of rotation is not accounted. Because moment of inertia is mass into perpendicular distance from axis. Parallel to the axis, how much ever mass you add it, distance remains same. That will not come into the picture. Now here, perpendicular axis theorem says that moment of inertia about this axis and perpendicular axis. So this is ml square by 12 and mb square by 12. This comes out to at the edge. So this is the edge of the breadth. This is the edge of the length, end of the length. So it is ml square by 3 plus mb square by 3. And this is ml square by 12 plus mb square by 12. In that way we talk about. Now let us take this into account. The longer one we call length and the shorter one we call breadth. This is rotating parallel to breadth. So ml square by 3. This is mb square by 3. mb square by 12. ml square by 12. ml square by 12, mb square by 12. About this edge. ml square by 3, mb square by 3. If it is at the center, by 12 will come. If it is at the end, 3 will come. Go through this lecture in the beginning. So likewise, some more concepts I will give it. So I don't waste my time on rubbing the board. I will draw all the diagrams at a time. I will give it to you. Yes, students, the logics which are being told till now, I am going to extend for this kind of a cuboid, which is having length, breadth, height. You want to call this length, breadth, height. There is nothing wrong. Whatever you want, any dimension you can call length, breadth and height. But you should be able to know the formula. In your home, they might have purchased some fridge, refrigerator. You see that box, that will be cuboid in shape. So in that cuboids I have drawn, I will draw axes different places and I will tell you what is length, breadth and height. I take this as length, this as breadth and this as height. Now I draw an axis here. Now I want moment of inertia about this axis. About that. It is parallel to height, isn't it? This is height and this is height and this is height. Parallel to height. Height dimension will not come in the formula. But it is at the end of the breadth. Breadth you started from here, it's end of the breadth. Length started from here, it's end of the length. So ml square by 3 plus m b square by 3. Similarly, I take this as axis of rotation. This is length, this is breadth, this is height. So this is the length, and when I come here, this is the end of the length. Parallel to breadth it is there. Breadth dimension will not come. This is end of the height h. This axis is end of the length and end of. So m l square by 3 plus m h square by 3. Now I take this as length, this as breadth, this as height, and I take axis here. Parallel to length, end of height, end of breadth. L square will not come. M h square by 3 plus m b square by 3. formula. Now I take the axis at the center, length, breadth, height. So this, as it passes through this, it will become parallel to the height, parallel to the height, parallel to the height. Middle of the length, middle of the breadth. So ml square by 12, mb square by 12. Center of this, here this axis, center of this axis, I rotate about that. Length, breadth, height. This line, if I extend it, it will be parallel to the length, parallel to the length, parallel to the length, parallel to the length. So that we don't, length will not be considered. But it is in the middle of the height, middle of the breadth. So it is mb square by 12 plus m h square by 12. This is from center this way, outward, from center that way. You can write like that. What is there in that? In a single diagram only we can have multiple axes, and I can write. So not to horrify you, but I can show you that this many diagrams are not required. You can take a snapshot and remember all these things. But if I draw one cuboid, I can have several axes for that. Like this. There is an axis about which rotation can occur. There is an axis about which rotation can occur. There is an axis about which rotation can occur. You can have even in between axis also, such that this distance is L by 10 and this distance is 9L by 10. We can have axis here. 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 Just they have to mention where it is. We can have axis at the center of this. We can have axis at the center of this. We can have axis outward. So about a cuboid, let me take one cuboid and explain. I keep this edge fixed and rotate the object. I'll keep this middle part fixed at the middle part and rotate the object. I can rotate like this. I can keep this fixed and rotate it. Keep rotating like this. Keep rotating like this. Keeping at the edge, I rotate it. Several ways I should rotate it. I should be able to write the moment of inertia formula for that. That's the main intention behind teaching this concept. Stretching concept I taught you, know. During the stretching, any stretch, any increment in length, dimension, parallel to mass you increase, add mass parallel to the axis, that will not be counted in the formula. Mass you added perpendicular to the axis, that will convert the formula, that will change the formula. Yes, students, another concept. Previously I asked you to play with like this ring, mr square, 2mr square, 3 by 2 half mr square, 3 by 2 mr square. So moment of inertia of a ring about diameter axis whose mass is capital M and physical radius of the ring is r is mr square by 2 about diameter. About diameter. Now I chip out the ring like this and I slide it like this, some portion upward, some portion downward. So this axis have no difference. Previously there was a half ring this side, there was a half ring this side. Now also axis is longer. You have a half the ring here, half ring here. So even though you split like this, formula comes out to be mr square by 2. You may say that, sir, masses became half of. No, take it half of. M by 2 r square by 2 plus m by 2 r square by 2. You will get again mr square by 2 only, it will come. Total mass of the ring is say capital M now. Like that only if I make it into 4 pieces, one piece, this one here, this piece here, this distance is r, this distance is r, this distance is r. So like that if I take 4 pieces and I place them at different lengths about the axis, then also formula should be mr square by 2, where m is mass of all 4 pieces, not each piece. Not each piece. Each piece mass if you want to take, you have to take m by 4 plus m by 4 r square, m by 4 r square, like that. So now very interesting point. If I remove this ring, this is what is interesting point. Now the student think that formula should be only half ring is there. No, it should be m by 2. No, here also now m is m only, mass of this half ring. If I add one more half ring, then that also comes into picture. Total mass, if it is m, each of them have taken m by 2, m by 2. Each of them has taken m by 2 and m by 2. Not able to understand. If I remove this, formula remains mr square by 2 only, where mass is the mass of the half ring. Mass m is the mass of the half ring. Now if I keep one more mass like this, now you take mass of the full ring. Formula wise, m represents mass. Is it half mass, full mass, like that? You don't have anything like that. M represents mass. If you have taken half ring, then you have to write half ring mass into r square by 2. If you have full ring, then you have to take full ring mass square into r by 2. Not able to get clarity? I'll show you. For example, I have a small chipped mass that I distributed around like a ring. So this is 10 grams. 10 grams of gold, I made it into a ring. So that 10 grams I distributed around the periphery, such that each of them is at the same distance. Now formula for this is mass into r square. All the mass is at same distance. Now out of 10 grams I take only 1 gram. That means remaining portion of the ring I remove it. Now formula is mr square only. Previously it was 10 grams into r square. Now it is 1 gram into r square. We are interested in distribution of mass, and m represents mass of that particular object. Mass of that particular object. There are two options. Directly they may give a half ring to you whose mass is been given, or they may say that take half, full ring mass is given, and if at all I place half ring, when what happened, then you reduce the mass by half. This portion what I told now is really confusing. Think over what I am trying to say. Formula is not going to change. This mass, I stretch it into little longer or much more longer. If I keep it at a certain distance or stretch it like it and keep it at a certain distance, mass into perpendicular distance axis from the axis whole square becomes important. This is one of the aspect which you need to understand in moment of inertia, which is also going to complicate your problems. Next, there is a pizza, P-I-Z-Z-A. Pizza mass is 600 grams. For convenience, I take 6 kgs. It is made into 6 portions, equal size. So each will be 1 kg, 1 kg. About this axis, I want moment of inertia. Pizza is a disc. Pizza is a disc. Moment of inertia about this axis is what? mr square by 2. So m r square by 2, that is equal to 6 r square by 2. This is the formula for this pizza. Now I take only one chunk of it, one portion of it. What is moment of inertia of this one portion? This is mass of pizza, total pizza, big pizza, part of pizza. Formula is mr square by 2 only. But this time we take 1 into r square by 2. You may ask, sir, there are 6 pieces, you have written only 1. Yes, when you are given 1, only 1 I have taken. So, one portion of pizza about this axis, if I rotate it, it is 1 r square by 2. Here m represents 6 kgs, here m represents 1 kg, because you told that 6 equal portions are there. Now, if I keep one more portion, 2. Now, I keep one more portion, 3, 4, 5, full portion, 6. Formula is mr square by 2 only. No, sir, I want to write m by 6 of it. Yes. Then there are two options here. Formula for this, I is equal to mr square by 2. Here also I is equal to mr square by 2. Here pizza is rotated. Here piece of pizza is rotated. Piece of pizza is rotated. Full pizza is rotated mr square by 2. Piece of pizza is rotated mr square by 2. Here m is the mass of the full pizza. Here m is the mass of the part of the pizza. Now mass of the pizza is given to be m, and 1/6 portion is now rotated. Out of that full pizza you removed, that is 6 kg. Here you have tried 6 kg, there you have tried 1 kg. But they are telling that out of 6 kgs, one portion is to be taken out, and that is to be rotated. From this I have taken separate portion. Then this is I is equal to m, which is m total mass by 1/6 of it into r square by 2. Leftover pizza is rotated here. This is 5m by 6 into, if you add total again you will get I is equal to mr square by 2 formula. Think what I tried to tell. It's a stable point to understand. If they may give full pizza's mass, they may give portion pizza's mass. If they give this mass, mr square by 2. If they give this mass, mr square by 2. Here m represents total mass of the pizza, here m represents portion of the pizza. Formula don't change. But if they tell that full pizza is being given, out of that 1/10 portion you are taking and that you are rotating, then formula is mr square by 2, but only thing is this m to be taken as m by 10th of the pizza. Think what I am trying to say. It is not so easy. Think over and do the calculations. Now comes last part of this topic. If I have a ring like this, moment of inertia about diameter which passes through center of mass is m r square by 2. If I have another ring which is also mass, same, identical masses, identical radius, then what? Moment of inertia is equal to moment of inertia of first object plus moment of inertia of second object. This is the formula. Moment of inertia is a scalar. Directly add it like a scalar. So about this axis I want. So that axis you call star axis. Whichever axis they ask, that you call it as star axis. Moment of inertia of 1 about star, moment of inertia of 2 about star. Moment of inertia about 1 about star axis is mr square by 2. This about this axis you know, which is mr square by 2, this is to be shifted up to here. Use parallel axis theorem. Moment of inertia about this axis mr square by 2 plus mass of the whole body. This full body you are shifting. Not this and this, only this you are shifting the one which you are shifting. This mass m into this distance, this is r and this is r, 2r whole square. Get the answer. That will be the moment of inertia of these two rings. Similarly, there is a sphere, full solid sphere. This is another solid sphere. This is another solid sphere. All are identical masses. Moment of inertia about this axis I want. This is the diameter of this. Say this is 1, 2, 3. About this axis I know. About this axis I know. About this axis I know individually. So this axis finally I call it as star axis. I star is equal to I1 about the star axis plus I2 about the star axis plus I3 about the star axis. Luckily I1 about the star axis and center of mass axis are same, 2 by 5 mr square plus this at a distance r. So 2 by 5 mr square plus mass of this one which you are shifting from here to here, m into r square plus 2 by 5 this one. Moment of inertia about this axis 2 by 5 mr square about center of mass axis plus it is to be shifted from here to here which is at a distance r, mr square. Add it, 2 by 5 mr square, 2 by 5 mr square, 2 by 5 mr square, 3 into 2 by 5 mr square, 6 mr square by 5 plus mr square plus mr square plus 2 mr square. 2 by 5, 2 by 5, 2 by 5 added, 6 by 5 plus mr square, 5 2s are 10, 10 plus 6, 16 mr square by 5. This way moment of inertia calculations are to be done. Even negative mass concept what you have learnt also can be used. When we are doing problems, much more things we will be discussing in detail, but this is the concept of moment of inertia and radius of gyration. Radius of gyration, textbook definition I am going to give it so that I will finish it off. I is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus dot 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 mn rn square is there. No, if at all we have chopped out the mass in identical masses, you take m common, m1 r1 square, m r1 square plus, for definition purpose, rn square. And here also you can write it as total mass, which is mass, n masses are there, n into small m into k square. This m and this m gets cancelled. K is equal to r1 square plus r2 square plus dot on rn square by n under root. Root of sum of the quantities by number of quantities is mean. Mean of squares of distances of perpendicular distances of different particles from axis of rotation is defined as radius of gyration, which is average radius of gyration. Generally we never do it like this. We take this equal to mk square, where k square I find it by dividing this total mass. Anyhow, that's the definition of moment of inertia, which you may have to write in your board examinations and all. That's why I covered it. This completes moment of inertia concept.